Yeah, I mean, it's, there are very few situations that we haven't seen improve. There are some, and again, I hope this is clear. With some of you, if you wrote to me and said, I'm dealing with this, I may have said, let's say if you wrote to me and said, I've got hypertension, I probably said, come on down, we have 100% success. Type 2 diabetes, same thing. MS, we've seen good success, but not in every case. And if you're dealing with cancer, I probably said, look, cancer, there's nothing better for dealing with cancer than fasting. And sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's too far advanced. So it just depends on the situation. But I don't know of a better way to get out of your body's way, right? I mean, coming back, I hope this is now review for everybody, the simple idea that the organism is self-healing, right? The organism always does the healing. The treatment never heals. The body does the healing. So fasting is nature's way of allowing the organism to heal. We're just getting out of our body's way so it can do what it needs to do. And so we'll see all kinds of things. Now, there are things that you might not expect to heal. I mentioned the other day, I think, that we fasted quite a few deaf people that couldn't hear. And this happened because we were located, when we started, right outside of Washington, D.C. I mean, like 2 miles from the city line in the suburbs. And Washington, D.C. is home to the U.S.'s only deaf university. And the deaf community is a tight-knit community. Again, as I think, maybe you weren't all here at the time we spoke about this, but even 20 years ago, it was difficult for deaf people to communicate with the average person. I mean, you could sit there and write, but people didn't have handheld devices you could type on that people were used to doing that with, right? I mean, deaf people had TTY, which was a teletype in their homes, developed for them, where you would call a deaf person. I had a deaf aunt, my stepfather's sister, and you could call her, and what would happen is there'd be an operator who would pick up, you'd call that number, and she would then send a typed message, which they would get on this little device next to their phone. So there was a way to communicate over the phone. But, that was kind of unusual. It's not like, what do you do day to day? What do you do when someone's out and they don't have a phone? We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have ways to do this back then. Today, they can probably communicate much more easily with anyone, right? By sending text messages, which wasn't an option back then. But because of this, the deaf community quickly learned about us, and so we fasted dozens of deaf people over the years. And we've never seen a deaf person, someone who was born deaf, gain hearing. Okay, usually when people are born deaf, one of the primary causes is the fact that the 3 little bones in the ear, little tiny bones that have to touch each other to transmit sound, don't do that. There's a mechanical problem, and fasting isn't going to change that, right? So these people aren't likely to ever hear as a result of fasting. But people who've lost their hearing, in fact, I fasted a young man from Melbourne, Australia. Wasn't that young, he was about 40. For over 20 years, he'd been the lead guitarist for a rock and roll band whose claim to fame was that they were the loudest rock and roll band in Melbourne, Australia. And he'd lost 60 or 70% of his hearing as a result of doing this for 2 decades plus. And he fasted for 42 days and completely regained his hearing. We've fasted groups of blind people and have seen blind people seen dramatic improvements in vision for virtually everyone. Virtually everyone. Now, I mean, they didn't all get perfect vision, but again, what happened was I met a woman. When I met her from this distance, I don't know how much you know about blindness, but most blind people don't see blackness. They see something, but they don't see well enough to function, right? People who are legally blind, I mean, they might see light, they might see that there's an object, but they can't function because they can't see what it is. She could see that there was something in front of her, But that was it. She couldn't tell what it was. She could smell people, but she couldn't see them, right? When you don't have vision, your other senses are typically more acute. And so she could smell most people. And I met her at a health food store probably 25 years ago now. She wound up fasting. She changed her diet with my help. She learned some exercises, and she regained her vision. She went from being completely legally blind to now driving a car. Okay? She drives a car. She hits a lot of stuff, but no, she doesn't. No, she has 20/20 vision without glasses. She doesn't need glasses. Okay? She completely regained her vision. And she was an African American woman who wound up opening a center for African Americans with vision issues. And so she had me come there twice to do full day seminars for her clients. And as a result of that, we wound up fasting small groups, 3 to 5 blind people at a time. And we saw every one of them see dramatic improvements in their vision. Okay, so, maybe you understand why I believe that everybody can feel and function much better than they think they can.
And how long did they have to fast?
Most of them fasted for 21 days. The woman who started the center changed her diet and learned the Bates method of eye exercises, which are exercises not to strengthen the eye, but to release tension. Often what's happening with vision problems is there's too much tension. And this is probably why everybody experiences better vision after fasting, because your body is getting hydrated, and as you get hydrated, what happens to tension? It reduces. Hi, enjoying my videos? If you'd like to learn much more, check out the Academy for Vibrant Living, where our Vibrant Health course will teach you everything you need to know to take your health to an amazing new level. And if you'd like to turn your passion for health into a lucrative career, check out the Health Coaching course, where you can become a professional certified health coach and help as many people as possible see amazing results.